日本時間2月19日、米国時間2月18日に放送された ESPN-MLB でロサンゼルス、ドジャースの圧倒的な戦力とその中心にいる大谷翔平の存在が大きな話題となった番組では、ドジャースが豊富な資金力を背景にスター選手を次々と獲得し、リーグ屈指の戦力を築き上げている現状が紹介された。中でも注目されたのは大谷の存在感だ。司会者は世界最高の選手と同じチームでプレーできる魅力があると語り、大谷がチームの象徴として選手たちを引き寄せる磁石のような存在になっていると指摘した。実際、現在のドジャースは投打ともに充実した布陣を誇り、2026年シーズンの優勝最有力候補と目されている。一方で、その圧倒的な戦力差がリーグ全体の公平性をめぐる議論を呼んでいることも伝えられた。番組では、このドジャースの超戦力時代と大谷翔平の影響力について、さらに詳しい議論が続いていく。ぜひ最後までご覧いただきたい。
Jeff, what's going on with that?
Tony Clark, the executive director of the MLB Players Association, is resigning today. And this is something, Rich, that I think a lot of people in the game have been expecting for some time. After Don Van Natta and I broke the story back in May of last year that the federal government and the Eastern District of New York, which has been in the news plenty, whether it's for the NBA gambling or for Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz, they are looking into both financial improprieties that have been alleged, as well as potential obstruction as well. And I think it just got to the point now that this is a seminal year for Major League Baseball and especially for the Players Association. You've got owners who want to implement a salary cap, and what you need if you are the players and you're opposed to the salary cap is strong leadership. And with this hanging over Tony Clark as long as it has, the feeling was it was just going to be a matter of time until he got forced out or resigned. There is no succession plan at this point. Players are meeting at 4:30 on a Zoom call from the various camps and the player leaders, the 30 for each team, as well as the 8-man executive subcommittee. Are going to talk about what the future looks like. And they might elect an interim executive director today. They may punt that for a couple days down the road. But I think what the players realize is that this is a mess. And it's a mess that they need to clean up a lot sooner than later because, the days are ticking down until December 1st. And that collective bargaining agreement is going to expire. The likelihood is that Major League Baseball is going to lock out the players. And once that happens, it's going to become a staring contest. And the question of who blinks first, it might be a question that comes down to who is strongest and most united.
So your best guess, because, battle stations are, as you just pointed out, around the corner here. Best guess how baseball writ large is hearing this news. Are they quietly fist pounding under their desk, or they're like, damn it, we need a partner to talk to here? How do you think it's being received on the other side of the table, Jeff?
I think it depends on who ascends into that role. The favorite at this point is Bruce Meyer. He's the deputy executive director. He's the lead negotiator for collective bargaining. And he's the guy who it would be easiest to just say, because of his time at the union, because of his history, because of his knowledge on the subject, let's put him in place. There's potential, though, for players to say that we need to clean house. And the fact that this is happening in February as opposed to June or July or even later on in the calendar gives us the time to go out and do a proper search. I don't believe that's going to be the approach that they have. Brent Suter, who's one of the members of the executive subcommittee, said to reporters earlier today that we are going to name an interim executive director. And everyone presumes that that's going to come from the ranks of those at the Players Association right now. But there's been a number of things over the past year that Don and I have reported on, whether it's One Team Partners, the group licensing firm that the MLBPA started back in 2019 with the NFLPA, and which grew to like a $2 billion business. That's part of the investigation. They're looking into Players Way, which was a youth baseball initiative that the MLBPA started that they spent at least $4 million on and really didn't hold all that many events. All of this goes back, Rich, to a whistleblower complaint that was filed in November of 2024 with the Department of Labor that alleged all sorts of improprieties by Tony Clark. And the investigation stemmed out of that, and now it ends in his resignation.
All right, since labor talk usually glazes the fans' eyes over, let's just wrap this part of our conversation up this way. Why should fans care about this, and how real is this? What's the timeline of the clouds forming? What should we look for? I know I just gave you 5 questions, but just tell me what fans should know. Jeff?
Yeah, maybe your producer should have told you to ask better questions rather than not wear a suit. But that being said,
wow, noted.
Rich, here is why this matters. Because collective bargaining is the story of 2026, and it's going to be the thing that either allows for games to be played in 2027 or keeps Major League Baseball off the field then. And that's a scary proposition. The game's in a good place right now, for the most part, but there are issues with the game. You know, the fact that the Dodgers are spending as much as they are and teams toward the bottom are spending as little as they are, and there's that giant disparity, it has alienated fans, and collective bargaining is the way to solve that. Now, is the salary cap the right way? You ask players and they will say definitively no. So I'm not sure it's necessarily going to lead to that, but for the union, it's pretty simple. Like, can they come out of this projecting strength, or is this going to be the sort of thing that weakens them to the point where I don't think they're going to capitulate on a cap, but for Major League Baseball, you know, something like this, owners look at it like it's positive for the league side. And it'll be interesting to see what the fallout is, because, you know, as anti-cap as Tony Clark was, Bruce Meyer is even more vehemently so. And I have trouble seeing a scenario where Major League Baseball players agree to that. And if they don't, how far are owners going to be willing to push for it? And how long could this lockout that's likely to start on December 1st last?
Yeah, Mets owner Steve Cohen, who is definitely not Bobby Axelrod from Billions, said just, I think it was yesterday or over the weekend, you know, how the Dodgers have put a great team together. They can spend, and he makes it aside saying, you know, I can spend too. Which is true. It just seems that everybody's taking the Dodgers' money. Why is that? They're offering the 401k, or it's just like, why wouldn't you want to be teammates with Shohei Ohtani and managed by Dave Roberts and winning two in a row when they could win a third in a row? Is that what it is?
Yeah. How about you get to go play on the best team in baseball and get to play with the best player in history? Sounds pretty good to me. And what the Dodgers have to offer beyond that, Rich, is the advantage that they have, and that they have goo-gobs of cash. And, you know, they're owned by Guggenheim Partners, which is a money manager that has more than $350 billion under management at this point. And, you know, Steve Cohen is one of the richest men in the world. And then you have a bunch of owners who, would they like to win? Sure. But at what cost? Is it a deficit spending? Is it otherwise? How do they do it? And I think people who are observers of baseball right now feel like the on-field product pretty darn good at this point. You've got stars like Ohtani and like Aaron Judge, you know, like legitimately generational guys. But does the rest of the game feel fair? And if not, what can they do to go and solve that? And figuring out, I think, if there is a happy medium between what the owners want in a salary cap and what the players want in essentially a status quo system is going to be the rub of this whole thing. And they do that. But they're going to be creative and open-minded enough people to go out and try and strike a deal rather than run this thing off the cliff.
Have we seen all the movement preseason? Are we done with it? Or is there just going to be another team to screw it? You know, the Dodgers get Kyle Tucker. We're just going to load up and we're going to make a trade, and we're going to find somebody that's sitting on their current team that makes $1 gajillion and screw it. We're going to go on a luxury tax and we're going to go for it. Is there anything like that in the ether, Jeff?
It could happen, but there's nothing really percolating at this point. There are a few free agents left out there, but all the big names, you know, Lucas Giolito is the biggest now, and he's a very good pitcher, and he's going to do well in free agency. But beyond that, there's really not a whole lot. Like we've got the teams where we are right now, and the greatest hope, Rich, is not going to be out talenting the Dodgers, because there's not a team that can out talent Dodgers. This is going to be more about the randomness of baseball. And let's not forget, 3 years ago, the Arizona Diamondbacks absolutely woodshedded the Dodgers in the postseason and wound up making a World Series run themselves. So the nature of baseball makes it possible, but the talent of the Dodgers is so overwhelming that they are the distinct, and I would argue more than any of the, almost 25 years I've been covering this game, they're going to be the overwhelming favorites going into the 2026 season.
Well, not to drag you into the conversations I have with my now 15-year-old son, who's a diehard baseball fan, plays MLB The Show every 2 seconds he can, and I did imbue him with well, he loves Boog Sciambi, and so I know, right? I imbued him with a love of the pinstripes. He's like showing me all sorts of crazy, rumors about, one involved Bryce Harper. And I basically said the Yanks need somebody like Stephen Kwan at the top of the lineup. They find their Ernie Clement. And the reason why I bring that up is what you just said, that even though we're talking about the Dodgers being some massive juggernaut fueled by gajillions of dollars, they damn near lost the World Series to a bunch of guys who could put the ball in play, catch the ball, pitch it, throw split finger after split finger, and damn near pulled it off, right? So
true.
In a World Series that will live for the rest of our lives is one of the best ever, Jeff,
Yeah, and I think if you're a Yankees fan, what you can look at is the same way the Dodgers look at things. The Dodgers just signed Evan Phillips for $6.5 million. Evan Phillips is coming off of Tommy John surgery as a one-inning reliever and is not going to be back until about. So that shows you the Dodgers are planning for October. That's what they have their eye on. And if you look at October right now, and if Garrett Cole comes back healthy and Carlos Rodon comes back healthy, and Cam Schlittler, you get a full season of him, and of course Max Fried at the top of the rotation. That's the kind of rotation that can shut down a team like the Dodgers. So I think the fear of the Yankees and the Phillies have the same thing going on, frankly, is that this team looks a lot like last year's team, and neither of those teams last year made it to the World Series. And are they running it back? Yeah, pretty much. They are running it back, but those were also two of the winningest teams during the regular season. So you can rationalize, if you're them, the reasons behind it. The off seasons didn't necessarily go the way either team was hoping. But I'm not looking at the Yankees and the Phillies right now as dead in the water. It's just the same. And in sports, we've been conditioned to expect something a little bit different when what happened the year before didn't end with champion.
Yeah, because the Dodgers do that every year. Right? I mean, they
do. I mean, the Dodgers have won 2 in a row, and they went out and gave Kyle Tucker $240 million for 4 years.
Heck yeah.
And Edwin Diaz a 3-year, $69 million deal. So they added the best free agent in Major League Baseball this winter, and they added the best closer on the market, and probably one of the 3 best closers in the game right now. And when you factor in all those things, I think it's fair to ask the question of all the teams out there: do you want to win as much as the Dodgers? Like, is this important to you? And if so, how are you showing it? What are you doing to tell your fan base? And I think a lot of these organizations, and I get why they say we can't do this. We can't do it like the Dodgers. And they could. The rules are in place for them to do so. It would just take an enormous amount of spending to do so. And that's just something that team owners have not shown themselves willing to do. And yes, the Dodgers have enormous advantages, Rich, and so do the Mets. But those advantages are really made clear by the system that's in place right now. And that's ultimately what we're talking about today. What does the system look like? And how are there levers that can be pulled so that the Dodgers and the Mets don't separate themselves into a completely different stratosphere than where the rest of the teams in Major League Baseball are?
All right, last one for you. ABS, which is, again, allowing players in Major League Baseball to challenge a ball in a strike using the Hawkeye system that we've seen for tennis and now for first down yard marks for the NFL. Is it true, Jeff, that this system is going to change the way we as fans watch a game with a strike zone box on the screen, because baseball doesn't want a live game cast to be utilized in real time by a team, whether to challenge or not? Is that happening, Jeff?
The sense that I've gotten is that there will be some changes to it. I believe that it's just going to be more that the graphic that comes off on the screen is not going to indicate whether it's in the supposed strike zone or the strike zone that's marked on TV. I think SNY, the Mets broadcaster, actually did it this way, where it was just a hollow circle in the area that showed where it was, but it didn't say that's a strike or that's a ball. The truth is, though, Rich, like this is such a Major League Baseball response to what happened with the Houston Astros and the cheating scandal there. Like they want to be above board on absolutely everything that they can. And in this situation, it's pretty simple. Like players are supposed to challenge within a second or two of that pitch being called. And you see it right there. All they got to do is tap on their heads. The pitcher can do it, the hitter can do it, and the catcher can do it. And could teams theoretically see the thing on the screen and come up with a system to relay it to home plate quickly? I suppose so, but I think over time we're going to see from players that they're not even going to bother looking into the dugout. They're going to trust their eyes and what it tells them, and they're going to challenge based on that. And it's been about a 50% correct call rate and 50% overturn in the ABS trials that they've had so far in the minor leagues and in Major League spring training as well last year. So I think it's going to be great. It's not going to be the pitch clock. It's not going to have that demonstrable an effect, but I think it's ultimately going to be a good thing for baseball. And some of those blown calls that we've seen on balls and strikes late in important games, there will be a backstop for them now.
Unless the challenge has already been used, right? Well, just to inform before I let you go, you're only allowed to use it twice in a game, but if you get one of them right or both of them right, you get a third. What's the rule, Jeff?
Yeah, if you don't lose your challenge if you get it right.
So you could keep using it. You could keep using it for the rest of the game.
You can keep it going.
Okay. Jeff, thanks for the time, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate you joining me and us on a busy day. You're the best. You be well.
You should wear a suit, Rich. Would look much more dapper than
no,
this.
I understand that. I do that. I do that on NFL Network. It's. I refer to it as dressed down, Rich. DDR. Where are you going next? What's your schedule? What are we looking at?
I got Phillies, I got Blue Jays, I got Yankees, and then I got home.
Okay, man.
Looking forward to all four.
I bet. Touch them all before you head home.
今回も最後までご視聴いただき本当にありがとうございました。動画の内容を楽しんでいただけたでしょうか。もしよろしければチャンネル登録と高評価をお願いいたします。皆さんの応援が今後の動画制作の大きな励みになります。それではまた次回の動画でお会いしましょう。